the lower bracket final, you'll see that Invictus Gaming versus LGD is still yet to play. Team Liquid, of course, you see there dangling off without an opponent. They are guaranteed top 4. Newbee and LFY up in winners, guaranteed top 3. And of course, down in the bottom with Invictus Gaming going up against LGD. This is an elimination match to start the day. And I think I've heard again and again from you guys, this is a very even match. This is a very unclear who's going to win match.
I think so for sure. And I think that in like these games, we're going to see a lot of crazy team fights. We saw that like yesterday in almost all of the games, it was team fights like lasting for minutes. And it usually happens like at this point in the bracket, like all of these teams are managing to come this far. They're super good at team fighting and they're super good at securing the early game, and that's what makes them being able to win the games.
A lot of these teams are also really good at not losing, so like defending high ground and extending games for chances and opportunities to come back. Or we've seen like all the best teams here have been losing games, but they just turn it around after like 45 minutes.
And I'm also curious about the way that Invictus Gaming has been drafting as well. They were one of the few teams to, well, I don't want to call it one of the few teams to, but there was that crazy game where they went Ember Spirit and Bloodseeker and nothing but aggressive melee heroes in order to just try to gank and pick off without really any strong high ground pushing composition.
Yeah, they went with a little bit of a different style. I'm a big fan of marking off all the checkboxes and what you need to win a Dota game.
Yeah. But
that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right or that it's the best way to play. So they have their own unique take on the game, and I think that they played that strategy to the best of its ability.
Now, if we head on up to the upper bracket, we have LFY versus Newbee, and there's always a lot of intensity in the lower brackets because we've gotten so many opportunities to see these players and teams play again and again. But Newbee and LFY have been crushing. LFY has not lost a single game yet in the upper bracket.
They've been one of the most formulaic teams, I would say, giving Super that tower hitter and then just building around him, giving Inflame a lot of Nature's Prophet, and they kind of just run at you and can end the game very, very quickly. We haven't really seen a team even match that sort of speed.
It's just insane as well because in the group stage, they went 13-0 in the beginning, right? And they secured the top 1 seed. Then they lost a couple of games, but when you actually know that you're top 1, maybe like you're trying, but it's hard to really try your best. And now here in the upper bracket, they haven't lost a game yet.
Yeah.
So,
I want to echo exactly what you were saying too, PPD, about how good these teams are at just not losing, because in that extremely long game that LFY played against VP, their final game in the winners semis, just continued to drag it out until they pulled this amazing team fight combo to win it. So I'm super eager to watch LFY versus Newbee. Now, as is customary at the start of these days, we have to get a little Slacks involved. Let's go ahead and see what he's been up to.
Oh, hello! Woo! We are filling up in the arena already, guys. We got a lot of guys ready for some Dota. Am I right, boys? And girls, and everything in between. Welcome. Man, I love these fans, They're here at the start of the day. They're ready to go. And as much as I love them, though, I do like messing with the fans a lot more. So why don't I show you guys a little adventure that we had yesterday where we had some help messing with some fans. Hey guys, here at TI, we talk to a lot of fans. It's one of the best parts, but for once we thought that we might mess with them a little bit. Luckily, we have Sheever helping us out. Sheever, can you give us a little nod there if you hear us? Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right. We're gonna tell Sheever what to say, and we're gonna help her with her autograph session here. She's getting some pictures. You excited?
I'm excited. Let's go.
All right, Pierre, you ready?
I'm so ready for this.
All right, Sheever, here we go. Let's take a look at this next person coming up. Oh. Can you tell him to take off the jacket, please?
Oh, can you hold on a second? Could you take off the jacket, please?
All right, now put it on. Backwards, backwards.
Right, now look at him deep in the eyes and say, perfect.
Ready? Perfect.
Okay, now when he leaves, don't give back the jacket.
Could I keep it? Awesome. Thank you.
All right, great.
I love it.
All right, now just throw it on the ground.
He just left. He just left.
All right, Abed, give us a nod. Let us know that you're ready. Give us a thumbs up.
Take his badge off his head. Do it. Do it. Take his badge right now. Take it. Take it off his head and throw it away. Throw it away somewhere.
I need it anyway. It's all good.
So, okay, Boba, you ready, buddy?
I'm ready.
Don't say anything. Don't talk to us. Talk to the fans.
I'm not supposed to talk?
Don't say anything. Just nod. All right. Sheever, put your arm around this guy and don't let go.
Don't let go.
Don't let go. And then just say, thank you, but don't remove your arm.
Thank you.
Do not let go.
Do not let go.
Poke him in the belly and go boop.
Boop.
Keep holding, Zero. Keep holding. Don't let go.
Do not let go.
She's so embarrassed.
Boba, tell the next person that you don't want to take a picture with them. And
I don't want to take a picture of you.
Oh man.
I'm sorry.
Is it because I'm black?
No, I don't want to take a picture. I'm being honest.
oh my God!
No.
Say jabated. Jabated.
Jabated.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
How are you gonna do that to me, man? Jabated.
Thank you guys for being such good sports. We got the best fans in the world. Thank you, everybody. And that was fun. But there's someone else having fun, of course. Casey, where you at, girl?
Hello!
Hello!
Sorry.
What the heck's going on over there, Casey? Are you all right?
I heard you, and they were like, Casey, you're next. I'm like, great, but I haven't gotten to where I'm going yet. Sorry.
Sorry.
So we're outside. We're walking in with everybody. How did you think the week has gone so far?
Pretty good. We actually just arrived Seattle yesterday.
Which match are you most looking forward to today?
I guess the match between the foreign team and Chinese team.
Gonna be good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah? Here, I'll walk with you. We're holding up the line. Hey, does anybody want to answer a trivia question real quick? Hands are raised. So polite. Okay. True. Now, Slacks, I think, might have written these. This is like a Maury Povich question. True or false? Roshan once had a twin who lived on the other side of the river.
Maybe in like 2013, but not anymore.
That's correct. It is false. Congratulations. And what's your favorite part of the week so far?
Just, getting here, watching all the matches, watching some good Dota. Just been a great time. I've been here a couple years before, so it's really good to be back.
What makes this the best year ever? TI4 makes this the best year ever, or are you saying TI4 was the best year ever, sir? TI4? We're past that now.
Well, Liquid's still in, so I've got that going for me, which is nice.
Which is nice. Well, congratulations for that. I'll let you keep going in the line. Oh, come on down, everybody. Does everybody remember Myron? Yeah, definitely. Say hi to Myron. Hi, Myron. Myron's behind the camera. We've had some people on Twitter demanding to know why I'm hiding him this year, so tomorrow we will reveal Myron for TI7. Yes, we will. Myron, we've talked about this. Don't make me upset. The line is still going into Key Arena. We are so excited. Who's ready for some good Dota? All right, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Slacks, and thank you, fans, for putting up with all of that.
That was so awkward. I just can't see it, stuff like that when they Broodbase poking him in the stomach.
That was my best piece of content that I've seen all week.
It's like, what? That was incredible. I cannot believe anyone would put up with that. If anyone just poked me in the stomach, I'd be like, what are you doing? Don't poke me.
Really? I feel like you'd be a good sport about it.
What are you doing? Don't poke me.
You could add
I have a good read on myself. Now, let's talk about the match that we're going to be getting into right now. It's going to be Invictus Gaming versus LGD. We've talked a little bit about how the meta has been evolving as the tournament has gone on. And it's really interesting to see who are the most picked heroes at this point in time and which ones have had the most success. And honestly, a lot of these names are not exactly surprises. We got Sand King, Earthshaker, and Bat Rider, the three most picked heroes in the event thus far. All of them very, very strong in terms of stunning and picking off heroes.
I'm a big fan of Earthshaker. I'm a pretty big fan of Bat Rider too, but I think Earthshaker is one of these heroes that you can pick in your first, with your first pick and be totally confident in. I think Bat's a little bit better of a fourth pick.
How many wins is it from these picks as well? These heroes can
it's probably right around 50.
But Bat Rider is a bit easier to counter pick with Oracle and other heroes too.
Yeah, Shaker doesn't really have
a lot of counters. Shaker is good throughout the whole game. So, and he's been played support, mid, and offlane. So it's one of these heroes that teams like to pick up early and keep it open.
Yeah, and in fact, we have some graphics about the most successful heroes at this tournament as well, and Earthshaker is one of them in the top 3. Earthshaker is, I believe, a little above a 60% win rate. Sven is number 2, and then all the way number 1 is actually Nyx Assassin, who, as we see, is the most banned hero of the event thus far.
Maybe it's just the like mid players that are shouting to ban the Nyx. They don't want to have the Nyx coming mid and just like monobugging them. So
it's like so many teams built their teams around their mid players this season, and now the mid lane has like kind of fallen out of importance in terms of like individual player skill. It's like very much like 2-on-2, and it's mostly just about farming your wave, and your opponent farms his wave, and then you leave and go to the jungle. So maybe they're complaining, or they're trying to enable their really, really good mid players.
74% is crazy.
Yeah, isn't that insane? And that is on the main stage and in the group stage at a 75% win rate for Nyx Assassin. And that's a really interesting point that you bring up, PPD, about the importance of mid. Because in all of the years that I've watched Dota and that I've watched TI, a lot of times it's just two solos.
Yeah,
it's just a one-on-one, mano-a-mano.
And that's where individual player skill really shines. But the best teams are, unless you have like the best player in the world, then you kind of have to adapt to that. Like you need to address the other team's mid player because they're going to have two heroes there, sort of a thing. So like no matter how good your mid player is, you still need to help.
And a lot of the games, like your mid hero is going to be counterpicked by your opponent's mid hero. So then you send a hero there to counter it, and then send another hero there as well.
This game is so much about teamwork. It's very individual skill does matter, but like this game, like the best teams here have the best teamwork. The ones that are still in.
It's amazing how powerful and sharply you see the combinations coming into play. Because when you play in pub matches, you're on your own. I play pub matches, and a lot of times we start off with two junglers.
You got Persh though.
What?
You got Persh to coach you.
But he's not in the matches with me. But when he is, he's great. He's very nice. He's very helpful. He's very supportive. But gosh, man, like seeing the teams in this sort of position, you get to really see and feel those combinations all together. It's really remarkable. And of course, with that sounding of the horn, we know that that means LGD versus Invictus Gaming is about to begin. And I want to talk about some of the specifics. Let's start with LGD. The Magnus play has been one of their hallmarks. Talk to me about their sort of style.
I think it's exploitable. I don't really believe in like Magnus first two. I think the hero has some flaws, and I think that if you just build a lineup around these eventual melee heroes that are coming, I think you're really geared to win in the late game. Of course, like Magnus lineups farm incredibly fast, so you need to find a way to keep up or control that. But these teams are amazing. I feel like they will probably come up with something.
They might not just pick it as well in this like series
it could
because
just
it's
get
against
banned.
IG. So as we've been talking about before, maybe they feel that the hero is like worse against these teams, so, and it's better against like the Western teams as well. So
it's one of those guarantees. You come up and you play against LGD and you go, yeah, they're going to pick Magnus. So if you can plan for that, maybe you can set up a plan to address that.
And there's, I think, two players in this matchup that play weird heroes. Burning, I think, plays some weird heroes with weird builds. I think he went like Midas Bots, Maelstrom, Lycan, and then we see maybe a lot on. He plays Leshrac, I think, exclusively mid.
Yeah,
I only player that plays it.
Yeah, their team is, I think, not just the only team that's been picking Leshrac, but also has done the most repeats of Leshrac in the entire event, which is a really cool and interesting hero, especially yesterday we got the chance to see Leshrac with Aghanim's Scepter, and the graphs of the damage output were ridiculous. I had no idea it did that much damage.
I forgot they changed the Ags to add the lightning. Before it was just like your ult does more damage. It wasn't that exciting, but now with the lightning it's pretty viable.
And the talent that extends the slow duration for Leshrac, so super cool to see the talents having so much influence in terms of the lineups. The teams are ready to come out. I'm super thrilled to bring them out. Let's give a warm welcome to our first competitors, Invictus Gaming. I was talking to Merlini yesterday, asked him who player to watch was on this team, and Merlini said, all of them. This lineup is just remarkable. XXS giving one of the highest fantasy point outputs of the entire tournament in the early matches, Burning one of the most famous players ever, Baboka and Q. Just extraordinary. Their opponents will be LGD Gaming. LGD Gaming coming out into the booths. You know, in terms of the counter to Magnus, you know, we talked a little bit about that at the end of yesterday, but, you know, for anyone who wasn't seeing them or who didn't see the end of that broadcast, what are some of the techniques that you want to be thinking of in terms of fighting against that infamous 11 Magnus?
Well, if you can shut him down in the offlane early, that's really beneficial. If he gets off to a pretty quick start, he'll get a quick mana boost, and he'll just go into the jungle with early levels of empower and just come out incredibly farmed while also helping his teammates farm.
We saw Kunkka use yesterday to kill him over and over in lane and to counter some of his team fight prowess. That might be some of the solution, but I think the biggest nerf of all is like Ice Frog just nerfing him again and again. His empower takes quite a bit of mana, so he's pretty useless, I would say, until like level 15 plus. Like, you need a lot of time to ramp up, similar to Enigma.
And especially also like now when the jungle is a lot worse to start in than jungle because the creeps gives less experience and gold. So if he actually gets bullied out of the lane and he has the jungle like straight away, then he can't get as much. So in that sense, heroes that can actually go on the off lane has been more popular. Like
yeah, it's really tough to try and commit to going to the jungle, especially with all the roaming fours running around.
Yeah, but I think that's why the Prophet maybe have been coming into play again, because he can pressure the safe lane a lot.
I think everybody is pretty much laning. There's like very few times I've seen where people actually have to like leave the lane nowadays. So the heroes that are stronger in lane, like Lich, for example, Furion, those guys do really well.
Is it just that they're choosing heroes that are more capable of staying in lane, or is it this aspect of, you know, supports?
You just get a little less out of farming the jungle now, and it's also a little bit more dangerous because you're giving up a lot more. You know, you don't have somebody keeping the other supports in check. You don't have somebody challenging the carry. You know, you might bring one of your supports to the offlane to take your place because you're busy jungling. So it just really spreads your resources a little too thin, in my opinion.
Yeah. Here we see Invictus Gaming, their main event picks, and there it is. You see the Leshrac making a cameo appearance. Only picked twice up here on the main stage, but their most picked hero is going to be Kunkka, as you mentioned before.
Yep, definitely one of their go-to 4 positions. Will most likely going to first to that hero if it's available. It could even be banned.
And you know, Troll went 0-2 as well. That's Peter's favorite.
That's just my thing. It's just now known that I'm just not a troll or a fan of Troll.
I mean, you've been saying that you've been warming up to Troll over the course of the event.
Miracle Troll was really solid.
Oh yeah, yeah. Backed up by GHs.
It's especially as well when they pair it together with Magnus, when they can help him farm a bit and to like help him to get these items that he needs.
Yeah. In the game that we saw he was successful where Miracle was playing, I think he was against a Luna, right? I don't really think Luna's that great of a hero right now, so I guess maybe Troll works in that scenario, but in most scenarios I would imagine he wouldn't work that well.
It works only if you have something that's even worse on the opposite team.
He pairs decently well with he pairs really well with Magnus.
Yeah.
That's like Troll kind of lacks like wave clear and like push.
I like the playstyle that mid one was playing with him too. He went like blink relatively early and didn't go BKB and ran around and try and kill people a lot instead of passively farming. I like that playstyle too.
There's like 2 carries that have been picked a lot that Troll is good against. It's the Sven and it's Luna. Well, Luna hasn't been picked a lot, but I think those are 2 of the carries that Troll is the best against.
Well, Sven's been one of the most picked and most successful heroes in this tournament. What is it about Troll that lets him have that edge against Sven?
His passive bash, I think, like when he goes up and starts to hit Sven, and when Troll gets his BKB, then Sven can't do anything against him. So,
for lack of a better term, I think we call it like man fight, where it's just like you square off on each other and you just smack each other over and over until somebody comes out ahead. Troll's kind of the king of that through the innate passive of the bash, and then also like the incredible attack speed.
Yeah,
It's stun lock carries even if they have BKB on.
So if we shift a little bit away from the carry role, I want to talk about position 4, the roaming support that has continued to be a theme that has emerged again and again. It's less about some of the all-stars in the lane. It's so much about those position fours in the early and mid game. How do you think these two teams will square up?
So we have Baboka on one side. He's far more well-known than the other player, Victoria. So I'll talk more about Victoria. Victoria plays Kunkka a lot, like way more than any other position forward that we've seen. As you mentioned, it's probably going to be first phase ban or first pick. He also plays Tusk a lot. And they have the option of Wisp. Wisp is not a hero that's been really popular this tournament. It's just always banned versus Liquid. And then everyone else, we just haven't seen it too much. So we could actually see it popped up a little bit, but not as active as Baboka. He's way more of a defensive support. He just sits behind his cores a lot more. In Baboka, he runs around the map and pressures the opponent's cores.
And in terms of, how do you think those two fare in the current meta? The idea of being aggressive and proactive versus defensive. I mean, we saw a little bit of like defensive play with Winter Wyvern sitting and camping by the Invoker.
It's tough to say. I think Victoria's definitely a lot less flashy than Baboka. You know, Baboka's constantly looking for couriers and doing all these crazy ganks where he's diving towers and cutting in between all these trees, whereas Victoria will like play like that safe defensive, almost like Kunkka and Tusk, and be there ready to back up his cores and counter initiate.
It just feels that you like really need someone to at least like go around and get info, because if you actually like sit 3 people in the like safe lane, both your mid and off lane is going to be super scared of ganks, and they're probably going to die
I think if they're going to pick this Kunkka as a support, I would hope that they would have some aggressive cores that could initiate fights, you know, on 11, but also on, you know, maybe on maybe.
So we've talked a little bit about some of the players and their play styles. I want to move to some of the specific heroes and hero combinations and strategies that you think are the big, high-impact things to watch for. We've been seeing things like Nightstalker Batrider. We've been seeing Ancient Apparition Faceless Void. We've been seeing Slardar Darkseer out of Team Liquid. I mean, what are some of the big highlight combos for you before the match gets underway?
Haven't these teams picked a lot of different heroes except for, is it maybe who played the... that was Super, right? But I think they're gonna pick... I think it's very hard to say like what they're gonna pick before the game. It's just like Magnus with a melee carry that LGD has been picking a lot. But other than that, like Burning has been playing a lot of different carries, and yeah, Baboka like Monkey King and these other heroes. So it's very hard to say, I think.
Regardless of what the picks are, I think this will be a very high skill game. Being China versus China, and then being familiar with each other, probably practice against each other before they came to this event. It's going to be a battle of the mind games because they're going to know each other incredibly well. Game 1
is going to start right now. It's Invictus Gaming versus LGD for a spot in the top 4.
Invictus Gaming versus LGD. Game 1.
Very curious to see how the draft is going to pan out because of how interesting the meta has been in terms of developing over the course of this event. We see the Kunkka Nightstalker ban out of Invictus. We see the Nyx Lich ban out of LGD. Relatively common bans. Perhaps the Kunkka is the one that is the most specific, trying to deny that to Victoria. And right away, the Earth Spirit.
Do you guys think we're going to see Magnus from LGD here?
Be better.
I'm not sure. I was thinking about that they might not want to pick it against IG for some reason. And IG isn't banning it either, so obviously they aren't afraid of it, even though it's one of the heroes that LGD has been the most successful with.
Earth Spirit's a pretty anti-melee hero, so almost a little bit of preparation for that. I mean, Baboka plays a fantastic Earth Spirit the other day. We saw him kind of like dominate that game where up against somebody's offlane puck, forget who.
In that sense, they might just want to prepare for it, as we say, in that they pick Earth Spirit that they don't really commit for like anything. So if they actually see the Magnus pick here, they can counter it with their second pick here.
Why do you say the Earth Spirit is a good counter to melee heroes?
Well, his spells, like the proximity and with the way his spells work, you know, his Magnetize works on targets that are around his rocks, and then his boulder kick hits everything that, you know, goes through a line. So the closer you are, I guess the higher percentage you're going to get hit by it.
It's a reliability factor.
Just on like the cone of it, I guess. Like the farther you are away from Earth Spirit, the harder it is for him to hit the rock on you. But if you have like Magnus and 2 other melee heroes, it's very likely that he's going to be getting a lot of 2 to 3 man stuns and silences.
And he also has the silence, yeah. So he actually has 2 ways to stop the Magnus from coming into the fight and using his ultimate.
Magnus pick right away from LGD.
Well, not right away. They actually wasted, not wasted. They used like 40 to 50 seconds of their reserve time on their very first pick of their very first 2 picks of the game.
Also very fast DP pick, so it just seems like IG, as we said, like they prepare for the Magnus pick, so
lots of silence.
And LGD seems very confident in it as well. They just picked Magnus right away. So
up against 2 heroes with silence, do you think you go for some sort of hero that builds a BKB? Maybe you could do something that goes Yules
on the Magnus,
just for the rest of their heroes that are incoming. Like they need some way to address the silence, right?
Yeah.
Ideally, not BKB heroes.
You don't think so? Why is that?
I like Manta a lot more. I don't know. BKB man fighting versus Death Prophet, not my favorite thing.
Yeah,
I would say as a core, I prefer just to kite the Death Prophet ultimate, which you don't really want to do with the BKB.
Yeah, Manta heroes could be cool. We still have Juggernaut and Lifestealer both in the pool. People really like those heroes up against Earth Spirit to remove Magnetize. Also, Healing Ward is very, very good up against Earth Spirit's ultimate.
And they banned the Oracle, LGD did, because if you ulti the Death Prophet and she uses her Siphon Spirits, if that's the name of it, then she's gonna get a lot of health. And you really want to burst down Prophet if you want to go for her when she pops her ultimate.
Yeah, we've seen a decent amount of Oracle up against AA. AA having that finishing ultimate when heroes get below 10% HP. But they banned Oracle, and then immediately following that, IG decided to ban AA, just to be careful of whatever might come ahead.
10 seconds. I bring up the fact that Earth Spirit and Death Prophet both have strong silences. There's some intuitive type things like, if they have low armor, we're going to get a lot of physical damage. These types of things. Or if we have strong magic resist, that's good against a large nuke-based team.
Certainly.
But silence can work on any target. So what are some of the main reasons that you want to get silence on a team?
Well, I mean, for the obvious reasons of them not being able to cast spells, but it works really well against heroes that don't want to build BKB, just because if they have to spend 4,000 gold on an item in order to do anything in team fights, that's a win for you. That's 4,000 gold they're not putting into damage.
And it's like a very late build up for Magnus to build it, because he usually wants to get the dagger and then either like Force or Shadowblade before he actually gets the BKB. So it's going to be a very late BKB for the Magnus, and in that sense the silence is going to be very useful for a long period of the game.
We see that Sven ban. Death Prophet also, her ultimate is entirely physical, so any positive armor buffs on LGD is going to reduce how much damage and effectiveness she has in team fights.
Surprised we haven't seen Shaker. I think XSS could easily play it. I think it's pretty good versus Tusk and pretty decent versus the Magnus, and very good at protecting the Death Prophet. Yao's picked up one of his most common supports, Shadow Shaman, as the position 5. Nothing too surprising there.
Yeah, Shaker is good against the Shadow Shaman as well to cancel the shackle from long distance.
And then looking at Ame's hero, he's been playing a lot of Troll. Troll seems okay here.
They got the Magnus, so
yeah, it's playable.
I prefer, like, if people are going to pick Troll, I'd really prefer them to wait until they see what kind of core matchup they're in. I think their hero has some pretty big flaws. Let's see. We have Shadow Shaman for Yao. He played it a bit the other day, and they have all this team fight, and they just kind of sit behind Yao, and he runs in and is almost like this sacrificial lamb who drops wards and hides behind trees while they kill buildings. It almost forces IG to fight them, or they just give up their towers.
Yeah, there's something that Bulba noted yesterday backstage, that looking at a lot of these lineups, the ones that have lots of big different threats are doing very well. Obviously, Magnus has the Blink RP to set up huge team fights. Shadow Shaman, if left alone, he can throw down wards and knock down towers while you're not looking.
I really like Juggernaut right now. I think that it can work. I know the hero hasn't been the most popular hero, and he might not be the best hero, but I think he works really well here. He's really great with the spin of dodging glimpse and getting out of disruptor spells. Also,
and just dodging the Earth Spirit when he's gonna silence you and stun you.
Tons of tools to deal with Earth Spirit. Also up against Death Prophet, Juggernaut's a hero that builds Diffusal Blade. Most Death Prophets go Yule Scepter, and they Yules themselves to protect themselves during their ultimate. But you can just diffuse her and bring her back down, and you can burst her.
Disruptor is a very good pick here for IG as well, because they're gonna have an option to both try to catch the mag and kill him before he gets his ultimate off, but also during the laning phase, because The one thing that Magnus can use to get away is his skewer, and then Disruptor can just glimpse him. So they actually have a lot of kill potential on him now.
The XXS Earthshaker. Yeah. Now, we've talked a lot about this fourth pick, where LGD kind of has to throw down Queen of Pain.
Yep. They had to pick something pretty neutral.
Yeah.
Something that doesn't have a ton of counters, but is going to do well in his lane. The nice thing is they saw the Death Prophet first too, so they kind of knew what that matchup was most likely going to be.
Struggles a lot versus silences, though. There's 3 silences.
Yeah.
And an Earthshaker.
I mean, this is definitely a BKB game for Queen of Pain.
Yeah.
I would say second item, treads, and then...
Jules is not the best right here, because if he actually uses the Jules, she's setting up for other spells.
Yeah, I don't... Jules is so situational for me on a lot of these intelligence heroes. Storm, Quab, Puck. I don't think that this is the best game for that. I think just getting that earlier BKB and being able to take fights is going to be very clutch.
Surprised they banned Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker's unusual ban out unless you already show your 1 position. I think he counters AM and Lycan the most of the 1 positions, so they might be setting up for like an AM. AM actually seems pretty good versus IG.
Burning has played it a couple times this tournament, and he's done fairly well on the hero. This is kind of like a free ban for a team with last pick. They say, what's the one hero I just really don't want to play against? Also, they're definitely picking a melee hero to pair up with Magnus here.
Yep.
So Bloodseeker is kind of an anti-melee hero in that regard.
Also, they can't give Invictus a 4th silence.
Well, I mean, they could.
All in on silence.
They could. Yeah, they might be 2 all in on silence at that point. Dota's a delicate balance. You need to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
So we've seen Queen of Pain be, again, in a lot of situations where it feels like you need something neutral. We've seen tons of teams go for Queen of Pain. It hasn't really seemed to have very much success at the main stage.
This pick's also often a little tough too. You have to pick your 1 before you see the opponent's 1, so you can also pick something more neutral. I think like Weaver's pretty neutral, is like pretty decent in most matchups.
Anything anti-melee is how I feel. You know it's coming.
Faceless Void.
Anti-melee. Yeah, I like it.
We've even seen Faceless Void and Magnus Empower coming out yesterday. So
it could have been an option for LGD as well. No, I really like that pick. They've got a ton of great heroes up against melee. This melee core that I do believe is coming for Ame, right?
There it is. The Troll Warlord plus Magnus that was mentioned right at the start gets closed out, and Invictus Gaming has some intimidating team fight with the Disruptor, Earthshaker, and Faceless Void. It's time for game number 1 to begin. Each of these teams is guaranteed top 6, but would love to win here today to get into top 4. Take it away, casters.
Top 4 is definitely what both of these teams are chasing. LGD versus Invictus Gaming. I'm Toby here with a wonderful Cinderin. Man, what a series. LGD versus IG. Still kicking hard. We look at the drafts. It's very expected, I'd almost say, of what we're wanting from LGD as well as IG.
Yeah, kind of. I think PPD made a good point that these 2 teams have been showing extremely high skill and also know each other very well. So when you're in that sort of comfort matchup, you could almost say, then there's 2 options. Either you try to really take them out of their comfort zone and completely surprise, or you stick to your guns because you kind of have an expectation of what the other team will do. And they've kind of just been, counterpicking, then counterpicking, then counterpicking, while getting their own heroes. There's a lot of heroes, obviously, to highlight in this game. 11 on the Magnus, we've got Boboka Earth Spirit. The one that I think wasn't given that much attention was the OP Death Prophet, which I think he's maybe the best player in the world on this hero, or at least easily top 3, has been having outstanding games. I believe it was at the Kiev Major that IG were just first phasing this hero as the only team. It got respect banned against them. So certainly a lot of comfort picks for both teams.
So it's that confidence to do it again, first phasing up that Death Prophet. And we will get ourselves underway already. LGD looking to establish map control. And they are going to run that 11 Magnus up towards the off lane. Do you like the Huskar pickup as well? Something else that LGD has moved into. We see a lot of team fight coming out from him. Is the Huskar going to offer maybe that presence to the mid lane to try and control OP's Death Prophet?
It's a good hero against the Death Prophet in lane, because Death Prophet is very movement based when it comes to the lane. You wanna, when you siphon, you want to be able to run heroes down, or siphon to disengage or slow your opponent and run away from them. But the shards can counteract both types of play. In addition, it gives them catch I think it's very nice when you look at how Victoria plays. He generally plays this Kunkka and the Tusk we see here as they were talking about. And I think this is just LGD's replacement pick when they can't get their Kunkka. This is a good way to go. It's similar to Kunkka in the sense that Kunkka has both the aggressive and the defensive potential with X Mark and Ghost Ship, and Tusk is similar. You have the aggressive and defensive Snowball, and the Shards can also be used aggressively and defensively. So I think it's just a good like hybrid aggressive defensive support pick that LGD seem to really favor for Victoria.
Well, we'll see just how effective it will be in this game. For the moment, Magnus has been forced off that top bounty rune. Burning will take it. IG haven't gotten on to the fact there was an observer ward also placed down around the corner. Everything else, as far as tempo goes from the game, what are both teams really looking for here? Are you happy just to let the lanes play out, maybe just look for that rotation gank in towards the mid, and let the safe and the off lane just be very passive? Or should there be more rotations to other lanes? Or is mid just the focus?
It's a bit hard to say. The Queen of Pain is not the easiest target to gank for the Earth Spirit, and similarly, actually, we're going to have action right away. OP.
Yeah, he's actually letting the Spirit Siphon go pretty early on. Victoria comes in with a shard, pushing OP down. Somna's getting a lot of damage into OP. He's already going to just munch on the Tango. Happy tree. Bobica not really having an influence until that point, but now it's the supports who have to create space for their mids.
Yeah, this is every mid game at TI. It seems like.
The only thing we're missing is the Nyx Assassin Mana Burn,
yep,
and it's literally the classic mid.
That is true. No Mana Burn this time around. Did get first phase banned together with the Night Stalker, so Nyx still banned. Now, that was, I think, the 100th ban on Nyx and the 99th on Night Stalker. When you see so many bans on that type of heroes, it really tells something about the style of play that the teams favor.
I was waiting for you to say it's going to tell about the patch log, which comes out shortly after TI.
More than likely going to have an influence on that. If the hero gets banned so much, it has a tendency to get nerfed. Nice bash from Burning. He's practiced that for years. One of the... Is he the oldest competitor this year? I think. He's 29.
The age of the player, I'm not certain. As far as the years of playing Dota, he's got to be up there.
He's definitely up there, that's for sure. One of the very old school players from all the way back in Dota 1 went under both the nicknames of Burning and I believe AAA for a while. That's a long time ago when he played on EHOME, in 2009 or 10.
I'll give you a +1 point for your memory, Syndrome.
Thank you.
I got a little bit of a movement coming out from Yao. Looks like he's just coming up for the 2-minute rune. And Bobica gets himself an action rune, so a double damage may not be enough. OP only has the Crypt Swarm plus the Spirit Siphon, so they don't have that instant. Actually, you do have the Earth Spirit up at level 2, so it's an opportunity. Roll forward, they keep the silence on Somnus, but it's not long enough. And now maybe the shards turn around. No, it cannot lock in Bobica. So Somnus will just burn the south. The gank potentially could have worked just because that level 2 on the ES.
It's still successful for IG. You want to keep the pressure up on this Queen of Pain and not just let her farm and play aggressively on the Death Prophet. They want to respond, force the Queen of Pain to buy regen, so you delay her other item progression, and especially when you have that double damage. Oh, nice shards!
Yeah, it's going to hold OP in position.
That's not enough. Already used that Shadow Strike onto the Earth Spirit, so they couldn't commit for the Death Prophet with it. And it looks like Bobica's just going to walk away for a little bit, probably use his Flask and his Clarity here and get ready to fight. That's exactly what he's going to do. So I'm not sure if we're going to see him rotate and try to do anything elsewhere. For now, the off lanes for both teams are getting quite a decent amount of farm, as is the norm in this patch. So both of them sitting on level 3, not getting completely shut down whatsoever.
The only problem you probably have was for Magnus bottom lane. Troubles, Yao. Here comes your snowball forward. XSS underneath the tower. The shards. He doesn't block him in, but the shackles still holding him in position. The Earth, he cannot get back. Not far enough into the safety of the tier 1 tower. So LGD claim the first blood on the off-lane Earthshaker. Meanwhile in mid, there goes your silence once more onto the Queen of Pain. And she has enough life to get back to the tier 1 without forcing the blink.
Had to buy an extra pack of tangos, and he's munching through all of them, I think, here with this aggression, so the bottle is getting quite a bit delayed. Seeing maybe going for this thing that has become a lot more normal in recent times, going the double null talisman before the blink, or sorry, the bottle, so that he can contest in CS, having a little bit of extra mana and health and the damage output. It looks like the bottle will be coming out for OP though, so he's opting for that more. I mean, I'm not completely sure what the ratios are right now of what mid players do, but I feel like we're seeing more double null than null into bottle. But with DP, of course, if you have this head start, it's very nice. There's a lot of runes that are very good on DP.
Arcane is one of the best ones, especially into the later portion of the game.
Not so good right now.
No, but at least having the bottle, controlling the runes with Bobica, lets them bring Bobica back up to full health and mana, who's now going to be just hiding in a tree as Victoria walks past him, says hello, so they can at least shake hands for the moment. Bobica is like he still wants a rolling boulder forward. Somnus will be able to catch him. Shadow Strike is down. He has Scream at level 2, but with OP there is no way Somnus can commit into the Earthshaker Spirit.
He's going to use this Arcane Rune to get that Siphon off of that nuke, and it's very low mana cost, obviously. I think it's pretty important for OP to have this rune right now. When I look at this mid lane is going way more the Queen of Pain's way than I thought it would. He is so far up on denies. 16 denies for the Queen to the 4 of Death Prophet has actually given Somnus more or less a full level advantage in this mid lane with both of the supports helping out. And that's good news for LGD. Getting that fast level 6 on Queen before Death Prophet gets her levels up allows you to go for that key kill in the mid lane that very often swings the game a lot.
Yep. If Death Prophet starts falling behind, if it's Invictus Gaming playing reactionary, then they can't look to use their combinations either. And we can always think about like that big combination that IG have. If you get a good Chronosphere with all the damage that will come out from Exorcism, then you've also got your Echo Slam, your control from Disruptor as well. They're all finding levels on the supports. Just these teams simmering and not wanting to really open up just yet. LGD is getting a small advantage across the map, 1,000 in gold, 600 in experience. It's a small amount, it just means their lanes are going slightly better than IG's.
And that's very good for LGD when you also have this Magnus, because what has a tendency of defeating Magnus lineups a lot of the time. Actually, wait a second, Victoria, the roll missed though, so they're not going to commit. When it comes to Magnus lineups, the way we often see them lose is either that the Magnus team gets pressured really hard early on and gets pushed before Magnus's Empower starts really kicking in and giving his cores farm, or that you have the late game carries that can deal with this RP and melee cores. And looking across the board, I think IG would have liked to have a bit more success early on in terms of just raw laning power. LGD have drafted very well around that. All 3 of their lanes are doing very, very well here.
Yep. They're just counting their time until the right moment. Are they able to harass that bottom tier 1 tower quite heavily? This is with the Catapult Wave and is forcing an extra TP. It's Disruptor coming down, rolling boulder, able to connect on the Troll Warlord. Yao and Victoria's here, but Victoria can't get in straight away. That Earth Spirit kick doesn't work, but the shards massively on the money. XSS, at least he can start to create a little bit of space, but he will not survive. LGD, huge kills. And the pressure on the tower will actually make this easier for Arme to finish the job and bring down that first tier 1. This
is one of the biggest strengths of Troll Warlord. In this early laning stage, he is extremely tanky. 13 armor. The first point in Berserker's Rage gives 6 armor. He wants to go this Ring of Aquila build. So IG, I think kind of naive even trying for that kill. They TP down the Disruptor, who's level 4. These heroes combining their spells don't have the damage until Shaker's level 6. And a bit of an assessment mistake there, giving LGD some very nice kills. Victoria in the right place at the right time. There was again, kind of that hybrid play with Tusk that was both aggressive and defensive at the same time. He saved the troll and gave them 2 kills with those ice shards.
They're going to go again. Victoria, here comes the shards forward, locking in the Earthshaker Q. What can you really do here? Puts up a wall, the fissure, stunning and keeping the Troll Warlord at least away from the Earthshaker, and OP reinforcements have arrived. The Death Prophet wants a fight. They're going to get it. The Glimpse dragging Troll back into the Spirit Siphon, plus the Exorcism damage. It'll be more than enough to bring down Arme. And with this, now it's going to be Invictus Gaming to push the other way on bottom lane and attack that tier 1 tower.
This was a lot better. That was a great rotation, bringing down these heroes, using the Exorcism aggressively like this. I think maybe a necessity for OP as well to get out of mid for a little bit, because maybe it's dominating him so hard. This kind of play, it puts his hero to good use while he's getting out-leveled in mid. At least he secures that bottom tower. And now Shaker's going to TP into mid to try and protect this against the aggression of Somnus and Victoria. So IG get on the board, getting the first tower of the game and a little bit of a kill to boot.
They do, but LGD are looking for a rebuttal. So they send Arme up to the top lane to attack into the tier 1 tower. As you said, that mid lane was taking considerable amounts of damage. Invictus Gaming do hold it back for the moment. But IG's teamfight's going to get better. You have Chronosphere up for burning. You have the phase boots, at least for the movement speed of OP. When it comes to those teamfights, very critical for him to be in the right place. Bobica, maybe not the greatest thing for him. Like, he's probably the weakest point of IG at the moment. only now going to hit level 4, soaking up the experience in the mid.
This is something we see from Earth Spirits in quite a few games. It's a bit uncharacteristic for Boboka because he has this like X factor on the hero, just a tendency to find these early kills. But in this game, I think he's a bit lineup limited in what he can do. There is no good lane to gank for him. Killing Troll with this hero is almost impossible. Killing Queen of Pain is very difficult when your mid laner is a Death Prophet. And in the top lane, maybe they could have found a pick on this Magnus if they combined their spells very nicely, but it's not the easiest either. So he's going to be a little bit slow here. This does happen sometimes to Earth Spirit. The main thing is finding level 6. Then even if your early game is slow, you can get that one great team fight with Magnetize, and then all of a sudden your hero looks like it never had a bad early game.
Still waiting for that team fight from LGD. You have Magnus. He currently went for a 4-2-1 build. So just focused on heavy farming for the moment, does have the arcane boots, needs that last critical item for the team fight, which is the Blink Dagger. And IG is a very non-invasive from both sides. They're not contesting any parts of the jungle for either side. It's pretty much everyone's got this almost ceasefire agreement. You're allowed to farm, and then we'll take a tier 1. Okay, then you take our tier 1 tower. Straight trade-off, we understand the rhythm of the game. But someone's going to change the beat. And LGD, under this smoke gank, maybe they can do exactly that.
This slow-paced game is certainly favoring LGD right now. They're getting through that difficult, or the hardest stage of the game, arguably, for Magnus. He's just been left to free farm. He's been giving Troll and power multiple times, so the farm is just flowing in for LGD. And 11 will not skill his RP for quite a while, probably just get 4 in empowerment, even his talent. Yeah,
perfect observer what's going to see him. Victoria starts with the shine, just wants to block him off. Able to do so. Queen of Pain moving forward. The Fissure buys a little bit of time. There's a lot of mana in XXS, but LGD backing off the fight. They really didn't want that. Meanwhile, mid lane is OP attacking with the Exorcism, beating into the tower. They've got the Chronosphere for cover. They've got a Catapult behind them. Not to mention, all 5 heroes from Invictus Gaming have gravitated towards that mid lane.
Cute, cute little ghost fishies. Getting the tower. I still... it's so weird to me. This cosmetic is weird.
Have you got something against fish?
No, not at all. It's just... she calls them her sisters. It's weird.
Have you got something against female fish?
I mean, I don't want to go there with this. Let's not make it about gender. Oh.
Bottom lane.
Bottom lane, yeah. He's
comes forward. He's already moved down far enough. He won't be able to avoid the kick from Boboka. Goes for a quick hex. The wall is up, so he knows he can't go anywhere apart from just Ether shocking. Shackles was available, but doesn't use him. So IG rotate. They do find a kill. But while all this is happening, you've still got Somnus farming up the top lane. Everyone else has gone either into the jungle, into Ancients. Victoria's considering going on OP in the mid, but Ahmed's got other thoughts, looking for the double damage rune in bottom, but you're not even going for that. In fact, it's going to be into the bottle of OP.
We've actually seen surprisingly little stacking from LGD, maybe even none. This Troll with Empower can farm quad stacks of Ancients very easily on level 9, just having this blind from the Whirling Axis. It's a 4-second, 60% miss chance, and you cleave down these Ancients very fast, but they haven't actually been stacking for him that much. Maybe I missed a stack on the right Ancient camp, but it doesn't look like it, actually. He already killed the big dragon there, and then he was like, whatever, I'll go to the other camp for some reason. They could have probably amplified Ame a lot more than they have by just stacking a bit more. When you have this slow of a game, it's not that difficult for the supports to just make that little sidestep and stack a camp or 2, but they've been protecting their cores more than anything with both the Shaman and the Tusk, and this aggressive move looks like it's successful in mid. The Serpent Wards will take this tower. Goes the way of Yao.
Just wisely read by Yao, understanding that none of the cores from IG were there, especially the cores which can deal with Mass Serpent Wards, which really are not that many. You don't have the range for it, you'll have to tank through the damage, burning, as well as OP are really the only ones right now who can deal with Mass Serpent Wards. So they take the tower, and then LGD look towards the top lane. They're ready for a fight. Veil of Discord is up from the Queen of Pain, so amplification is there, the RP is skilled. You don't have Mass Serpent Wards, but there should be enough power if LGD can find just that one pick.
I think LGD still just want to wait for the blink, you know? Why not? Keep farming, keep building up this Troll and this Mag. As long as IG aren't bringing on the aggression, I'm with LGD for this game with the pace it's having right now.
Just allow the farm to continue.
Yep.
Their gold lead is continuing to stretch bit by bit. It's just shy of 3,000 at the moment, just shy of 4K in the experience. So, yeah, LGD are happy to accept the status quo.
There's still good farm coming in for IG though. It's not all this Magnus and power, and now it's gonna start to ramp up now that he has the level 4 in power, and the natural like movement speed of the heroes is increasing. The troll's going for that Yasha, so he's going to be able to traverse the map quicker and accelerate his farm. But so far, Burning has been doing a good job keeping up with this troll more or less. He's about 700 gold behind right now, which I think is definitely admirable under the circumstances of the game.
11 bodies, Blink Dagger. So it's just that group up. You've got Smoke over on Yao. So if LGD want to look for a fight, they can do so. But is it still wise to do it? Like, you've got that Blink Dagger, you've got the timing right, but at the same time Invictus Gaming, they get their moment. They actually get the Blink Dagger for the Earthshaker coming on the courier.
And neither team knows.
They smoked out of range of the Observer Ward.
Maybe they saw him get it delivered, actually. 11, I think, might have got the Blink Dagger under that Dire Ward. They could have seen it, but the Radiant surely doesn't know that XXS has his. He is smoked up.
They didn't see it. They definitely didn't see it. XXS now coming forward, looking for that Blink Echo. Who's he going to find right now? The Echo Slam. It doesn't get the sound of the Troll. Warlord, you can still get Q's ulti out, however, but the damage. Troll standing his ground. Snowball can pick him up and drag him forward. They're going to find the kill already. Flipping the Earthshaker like an omelet into Bobakar as well. LGD really not being punished when they get caught out. You can at least put down the Chronosphere, combining with the X's, but Yao holding OP in position. They need space with the RP. LGD! They already thought they had themselves a good fight. They end up claiming 4 hero kills.
I'm really surprised they tried to go for that. Like, it looked like a good chrono into DP ulti, and they do get that 1 kill on the Tusk, but they were kind of just going in 2-on-5. Disruptor was already forced out of the fight after getting his Static Storm down. They didn't get that kill, and the Troll once again just a bit too tanky. That Echo Slam has to connect first. And instead of going for a mini blink there, the Shaker tried to melee Echo Slam, but he was a little bit out of range. Then he has to blink to get the Enchant Totem, and that creates the distance for Trolls. We're going to see it here. The Echo actually, I think it missed completely. It did. Now he gets in, gets the Fissure, and that little bit of damage is what they were lacking. Troll turns around, starts hitting with that high lifesteal, and Victoria brings him in with the Snowball. Again, that both defensive and aggressive play at the same time with the Snowball this time around is going to put LGD in a great position. Now they have the Aegis and a 5k advantage.
That really is the sweet spot for LGD. Exactly what they wanted to do. Their first team fight, the reveals of the Blink Daggers. It's Invictus Gaming not getting what they want. They have to wait until you get Echo Slam back off cooldown before you have these big, long cooldown abilities. It's another minute or so until you get both Void, Ulti, and Exorcism back.
That's a good point about the Dire lineup. It's very cooldown reliant. The Radiant obviously have some key cooldowns as well in the RP and the Sonic Wave, but outside of those, when you look across the lineups, it seems like the key cooldowns are more integral to the success of the Dire teams. Just plays around the map than for the Radiant. So whenever these fights happen, LGD are going to feel confident to both farm aggressively and push towers. And with the Aegis, it's going to be no problem whatsoever for Anti-Mage to just walk down this right side of the map. Look at his net worth right now compared to everyone else in the game.
9.5k. He's a full 2.5 grand in front of the Faceless Void. You said it was only close before.
Good team fight and Empower, and there you go. So Sanjin Yasha, Mask of Madness phase boots, minute 17. This is really, really high farm. This is above his standard for Troll, for sure.
LGD are now moving that Troll to the top lane. Burning, being forced out of his own jungle. He wants to be able to farm this, but thanks to the Observer Ward vision from LGD, they can see Invictus Gaming's movements around the mid-tier 2. They'll understand when IG also go into their jungle. But the easier way just to make that jungle more fearful, remove all of the outer towers on the top lane.
Troll took this tower down in a matter of seconds with Empower, and he didn't even ulti. Just Empower and the Fervor stacking up. This is pretty bad news for IG. They're actually getting crushed after their own aggressive move. That backfired so hard that they lost complete control of the map.
Here comes the fight again. LGD trying to keep that momentum and make it even bigger. It's the smoke maneuver. As well, they can break. They don't find a target just yet, but top lane, it's going to be the Earthshaker. RP him up, the solo flip. OP will arrive, but then again, you put the Mass Serpent Wards down. And Yao even caught the Earth Spirit. Bobaka wanting to come and help. The Glimpse, he's just trying to get some space here. Cupid gets his TP, but it won't happen. Invictus Gaming are dropping like flies. And LGD, they can do no wrong.
This is an absolute beatdown right now. This tier 2 tower is gone as well, and all of these IG teamfight abilities that you look at and you're like, this is a great teamfight lineup. It's just not happening. The lanes went well for LGD, the Queen of Pain and the Troll had good starts. They got that one good fight, and their lineup just is snowballing completely. Now the TP in
they're
from
coming in.
Mobica.
Are they really going to be able to do this? The Troll Warlord, man fighting up against the Earth Spirit. OP needs a big fight. Burning, looking for the Chronosphere. They'll actually isolate Arme, but remember, he's got the Aegis Immortal. Earthshaker's going to lose his life just to burn this. And Burning, well, there goes your Chronosphere. OP, he needs this kill with the Sonic Wave. The damage amplification is just way too much. Invictus Gaming, 4 heroes down. You know you're going to make it 5. Q can run, but they call GG in sub 20 minutes. LGD, this is a curb stomping by them.
Man, this game's just over.
Literally.
I mean, what do you think? IG knew they were going to lose a lane to Rax there. And if you lose a lane to Rax 20 minutes in against a lineup with Magnus Troll, it's not... You kind of feel like it's not going to be possible for your team to come back. It is a best of 3, so they have the next game to look forward to. Generally, in these lower bracket matches, teams try to play to the bitter end, but this game was just so out of hand so fast that it was hard to see IG with any opportunities.
And all of it started just to, well, escalate quickly after that Echo Slam didn't connect. They went for the fight. It was the double blink daggers that arrived, and IG needed that to work. The Chronosphere commitment into the bigger fight just made it even worse. And the snowballing went all the way of LGD. Like that mag and power buff up, like it gave the damage for the fight, but we didn't even see it like economically start to work with the farming.
So this puts LGD in a position where they have they won every game with and against Magnus on the main stage? I think they've won with it twice. Other games it was banned. The only team that beat LGD at this main stage so far was Virtus Pro. They banned Magnus both games and played really fast tempo against them. Yep. OG tried to take Magnus away, then they lost twice with it. And now IG give it away and get absolutely trashed. I think this is a ban, honestly. I think it's a ban against LGD, and then you try to beat them on playstyle. So you ban out the mag. I think it's the biggest comfort pick for them. It just makes their playstyle come together very nicely. And then still high tempo. I like IG's draft. I thought it was pretty good, but if you fail these couple of key moments into a mag lineup, you're just going to lose.
And Invictus Gaming should know this very well as one of the heroes that helped them when they were winning down in China, that big LAN event, which actually helped them